Hey everyone, welcome to Unique Ways with Thomas Gerard, an audio podcast. We've got two awesome guests on today. The first moved from Bangalore to Delhi armed with a degree in graphic design and worked with prestigious firms like Prestige and The Bold Creative. She co-founded The Bartender in 2015 before selling to a partner and starting over in 2017 with Graycell Design. Our second guest is a graphic artist that specializes in visual identity design, advertising design, and web design, and is intricately involved with art and copy and has been since a young age. She has a keen interest towards digital design and always enjoyed being a learner in this vast pool of fascinating knowledge in this time of creative innovation. Please join me in welcoming Chavi Sethi and Noor Bains. Welcome.
Hey guys.
Hi.
Hi Thomas. Thanks. That was a beautiful introduction. You've literally, we're
Blown
bold.
us
We're
away.
bold for sure. Thank
Okay,
you.
Thank
great. You get ready for 20 questions?
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's
Okay,
go.
here we go. Number one, tell me a little bit more about yourselves. What do you do?
I would say we're creative thinkers and just natural problem solvers at core. That's what kind of defines both of us and what we do. And yeah, that's us in a little bit of a gist for you.
Great. Just a note for our audience. Chavi and Noor and I met in New Delhi about 10 years ago, where I was a lecturer of visual communication there for about a year in New Delhi. Question two, what's a key piece of knowledge that makes you different?
So we're both polar opposites, Noor and I. We come together in this creative union that we've started called Over Caffeinated Design. And it's a beautiful dance of the yin and yang because I feel that we both balance each other's energies out in a really cohesive way. And so I feel like it may not be knowledge in its traditional sense, but it's just our attributes and how they balance each other and how it sort of works out that makes us different.
Great, that's great. One other note for the audience, if you're gonna like this episode or if you feel like it's going the right way, check out this early episode with Sneha Ray. She was also a student of mine, or actually she was also a student at the school I was teaching at in New Delhi 10 years ago. And yeah, that was a great episode. Question three, why this of all things? Why do you do what you do?
I feel like Over Caffeinated Design, which is the name of our studio, is a place where kind of robust creativity flows day in and day out. Of course, as the name suggests, we both love coffee, and everyone on our team is always buzzing with ideas. So we're a bunch of passionate people I mean, we do what we do, and we're visual thinkers, I'd say, who find creative solutions to complex problems.
Yeah. But I feel like the more as women in business now, the more we interact with other women in business, it makes us realize how nascently we're all problem solvers and multitaskers. And it also made us realize how naturally it comes to us as women. And that's all thanks to our mothers and ancestors who are also great managers and are continue to be amazing soundboards for us, where they still have the capacity to do it all and still have it coming more. So
And on that note, I feel like it's just simple. There are always ideas that are looking for a home, brands that are looking for stories, and people in the end are looking for people to connect with. So that's why we wake up every morning and do what we do.
yeah.
Nice. I love the name Over Caffeinated Design. We had a professor, Paresh Chaudhuri, who's also based in India on, and he said that in the morning, he doesn't start with 1 cup of coffee, but he starts with 2 cups of coffee. And that is so great.
I think I think that's most mornings for us as well.
And if I remember correctly, it's a lot like you as well, Thomas.
You would walk in with your massive cup of coffee into a lecture in the morning, and it would be
Yeah.
dark and strong and black. And I feel like now
We
looking back,
understand.
we understand what you were buzzing on.
Nice. I love it. Number four, what does your future look like?
Okay, so drawing from this conversation, it's dark and it's bold and it's just how we like our coffee. Like we're buzzing and we want to see what the future holds for us.
That's great. Number 5, I say, is unique to this podcast, and I think it's a good one for you guys. Let's talk about location. How does the notion of place play into what you do?
I think we're both city quitters, to be fair. You know, we chose to leave bustling streets to find ourselves nestled in a cove very close to the coastline, and we're in a coastal city called Goa in India.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to learn from the ocean, you know. It's not just a blank, empty canvas or a vast space. It's actually a space that's living and breathing, that also has history and politics. It has culture and so much more. Um, and we ourselves are the ocean, to be fair. The ocean is the source of our life, and also sadly a graveyard for many, if I may say so. I mean, it's complex. Um, but it capacitates, it's profound, it has depths, it has beautiful shimmering surfaces, and all the beautiful and terrifying meanings that the ocean has had, not only for us today, but of course, like throughout human existence. So we find ourselves nestled in this quaint little coastal city, which we now call home. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful to live here. It's inspiring. It's just, we see ourselves as changed and changed people who've grown, you know?
Yeah. I feel like it was in a post-pandemic world, it was almost necessary for us to leave the bustles of the city and come to a place where we can find ourselves and our creative voice. And so, yeah, location that way is very important to us.
I love that. I love that description in relationship to the water. I've never heard anyone answer in that way. That's really unique. That's a great answer. Yeah, my pleasure. Number 6, if you had to start from the beginning, what advice would you give your former younger self?
If you're doing something, do it well, because whatever you do will contribute in a later life to who you become. So that is something as an advice that I would give my younger self.
I think I agree with that. I don't think I can agree enough of what that means, you know? So I think we're both on the same page.
Yeah.
About this.
Nice. And 7, what's a day in your life like?
What
wake up with 2 cups of coffee to begin with.
Yeah, wake up early, fuel yourself up, give everything you have to what you want to do and what you want to create in the day. But at 5 p.m., we make it a point to plug out, cross the road, walk onto the beach, and just soak in the day that's been, watch the sunset, just be there, be present. Because in this day and age, like there's so much consumption of data and information, and it's like we're constantly bombarded with imagery and information. So it and with professions that require us to be on a screen, it's almost a life choice that we made, that we want to at 5 o'clock disconnect, walk around and just be present.
When we say 5 o'clock, it's not the 5 a.m. club, it's the PM
5
club, guys.
India
It's
standard
the 5 p.m. club who wants to go to the beach by the end of the day and call it a day.
Nice. We had a great guest on, Rajay Vanderheet, who's a C-suite designer in a small city in Western Europe. And he would say how his work morning really started once he reached the atelier and kind of entered the doors of that space. And once he left that space at the end of the day, he kind of left the work behind. He didn't take it with him, and he kind of continued with a personal day after that. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I agree with that ideology, and a part of me kind of falls into that category who wants to be that person, I also feel like as creative thinkers, our mind is never really disconnected.
Yeah,
but
it's
where we put our mind, it's important. So circling back to that same thought, that it's how you do what you do, but like it's important to know what's good for you as well, and it's important to know where to draw a line and be okay for yourself. So I think it's a love-hate relationship between work and like
Pleasure.
pleasure and
But
life.
both is pleasure.
But I feel like when you make work pleasure, it's amazing, and that's what we are trying to do. So it's fun every single day.
But it is difficult to plug out on most days. So we've made this ritual so that we're sort of forcing ourselves to do that. It's easier said than done to leave your work at your work desk, but it is very difficult to execute as creative mind, because we'll go to an art exhibition and think of what a brand can do. Like we'll meet a person and think, oh, maybe you should meet this person, and we're working with this brand. So that being said, it is very difficult for us to disconnect, and maybe it's just us and maybe it's just all creatives, but this ritual really helps us create that balance.
And this is very much what it means to be a designer, isn't it? Like we become design people rather than designers who have a design job. We are actual living, breathing designers, right? So
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're just like you might find creativity in the oddest space, or in something that someone randomly says to you and you get inspired, but that's what it means to be a designer. I completely agree with what you're saying.
great. Number 8, lifelong learning is a popular topic. How do you stay up to date?
I mean, we have nothing in this world to conquer, but or challenge or transcend apart from our own mind. The people that we interact with, the gods and demons that live in our mind, and us ourselves, our imagined lives, they all live in our mind. So we all live here. So all I would kind of lean towards saying would be to stop trying to be the traffic policeman to your own thoughts and ideologies. Let them free, let the mind run free and be curious, because that's how we turn ourselves into lifelong students.
Yeah.
So that would be my lifelong learning. I would always want to be a student to life, because you don't know what's going to be thrown at your day, at you.
Yeah, be curious, be exploratory, just keep exploring till you know.
In fact, Thomas, if you remember Wallace from our college, he in my first lecture in college on typography kind of told me something which still sticks to me and is really close to my heart, and it was a great piece of advice, which was that as visual thinkers, never really shut your eyes or your mind off. Always keep it active and treat your brain as a dictionary to refer back to. And I don't think I ever understood the meaning of it until I actually started doing what we do, and realized that, like, yeah, there are ideas that I kind of go dig back into, or that I might have met an interesting person, or I might have seen a really interesting signage or a wording or a copy that was written that clicks with me in a situation where I'm kind of struggling to think creatively, which is again a lesson,
So, or like taking pictures of random things on the street where we'll be like, oh, this color goes so well, or like taking for finding textures that we like, or just bringing little knickknacks home from the beach or from wherever you visit, just to like have that memory with you in physical or not. So yeah, that's how we stay curious.
Great. And number 9, what tools do you use? Are you entirely digital?
We're all digital now. Like, is someone not still who's living under a rock? But like I feel like digital is now part of our daily life. It's now the norm. It's not an exception. Life would be unthinkable without our digital support systems of smart softwares and sleek gizmos and just like Androids and Apples. So I don't think anyone's not digital.
So to answer your question, I feel like it's a yes and a no for us.
Yeah.
Yes, in a way where we are in the digital space and we cannot refrain from being in this realm of designers or creative thinkers, or like being people who are actively working as visual thinkers for the digital media. But we don't want to bucket ourselves into the quintessential definition of nomads, because we are trying to build a creative space in which is grounded and based in Goa. So I feel like it's a yes and a no, wherein we are digital nomads, but we're not nomads, but we're digital activators.
But we're also like trying to create a physical creative space. So nomad might not be the exact word. Digital, yes, indeed.
Great. Okay. And halfway, number 10, how do you deal with work-life balance?
That's interesting. We're always trying to, but I feel like you have to be witness to the world around you and not let the chaos that it breeds consume you. Because the moment you get too involved in everyday mundaneness, you will lose all creativity. So you have to take a moment and click back and become an observer again to the world, right? Um, Only then can you be away from the noise and the claustrophobia of every day. Only then can you sort of tune into your true thoughts and your true self. And that is work life balance for us. So we try to create that space between other reality that exists and between us. And only then there's like, again, there's so much data consumption that if you keep getting involved every day with every single news article, every single video, every single podcast, you'll just be so consumed that it'll leave no space in your mind to create something new, something original, and something that's a part of your own fabric. So we have to take time to plug out and reconnect with ourselves. And that's how we feel we can achieve work life balance. But, it's a theory and test.
It's definitely a theory and test.
Great. And number 11, and maybe this happened for you too when you shifted to Goa, but the question is, if you weren't doing what you do now, what would you be doing?
Something creative for sure. I don't know, maybe I'd be in architecture or like something. Like, we're not elitist, we're just creative souls since childhood. So anything creative, I think, would satisfy that. What do you think?
I mean, I think I'd be a storyteller. I
Oh
mean,
God, no, you and your stories. They're never ending.
I mean, to be fair, we're already doing visual storytelling, but I would definitely would be a storyteller. I would just want someone to pay me for it. So yeah, I'd be a storyteller.
Nice. And what would you not like to do with your career?
Advertising. I think it's the lies that we can't tell.
Yeah.
Which is where design is the complete opposite of it,
Yeah.
I mean,
Because it's so based in strategy and how you want to actually communicate and not just.
and it's so people centric, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, what we do as designers is so people centric, whereas I feel like advertising is just mass consumption of data, which is okay,
And just another data point.
and we're also consumers to it.
Yeah.
But would we want to do it for a living? No, absolutely no. I think
Running
it's
in
a
the
hard
opposite
stop, and it's a no
direction.
for us.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite word, quote, or sentence?
I feel like there's no creativity without risk. Creativity has always been about risk taking for us. It's about the rejection of comfort, and it's about the sweat. When I say sweat, I don't mean of fear, but the sweat of hard work. We do understand that there's always room for sudden bouts of inspiration that comes through every now and then, but inspiration only comes to light when risk, discomfort, and grind is involved. So I think that's what that would be that's something that we really stick to together, and that's our mantra, that there's no creativity about risk, and it's all about being daring, and it's all about being and taking that leap of faith
and being discomfortable, like getting out of your comfort zone. But actually, when we say grind, we're not glorifying the grind culture. We are referring to the dark aromatic coffee in our pantries that fuels all our creative explorations.
Great. And how about a least favorite word, quote, or sentence?
Unnecessary client feedback on a Friday evening. Does that count?
I think so, yeah.
It's not quite a quote, but it's definitely a feeling. Like, it's a feeling, it's a mood.
And if you had to pick one word to describe yourselves, what would you choose?
I'm a dreamer. I would say I'm definitely a hardcore dreamer.
I think that brings me closer to reality. So that's what I said.
That's the balance we create. She's the realist in the situation. I'm the dreamer. That's how we roll, guys.
Cool. And 16, what keeps you up at night?
Unpaid invoices. Just show me the money.
17, what's the dream you're chasing?
I think we're just simply chasing happiness, and that too in the simplest of moments or the simplest of things in life. I
Okay.
think that's what I would want to continue chasing. I don't want to continue money. I don't want to continue fame, chase fame or chase money. I think it's mostly just happiness and
Yeah.
chasing that and
Live-
finding that.
Yeah, living in the pursuit of happiness.
And final stretch number 18, what inspires you?
Nature, the culture that we were born into and are surrounded by, and history. Find it intriguing.
Yeah, as boring as it sounds, as boring as history sounds, there's so much to learn from all these three things that Chavi spoke of, which is nature, culture, and history. If you look closer, you will find inspiration, and that's what keeps us going.
19, any advice you'd like to share?
Be caffeinated, keep buzzing on life.
And stay curious. Just be curious, always.
And 20, for promoting yourselves, how do our listeners keep tabs on you? How do we follow you?
That sounds like a question someone would ask an influencer, but in all humility, follow us on Instagram. Our handle is Overcaffeinated Design. For all those who did not figure this out, an abbreviation that we kind of intended to make while we were naming ourselves as Overcaffeinated Design was OCD.
Yes.
We both share that actively. And I think, Thomas, you would also be a part of the OCD club. So
Friends of OCD.
So you're friends of OCD.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining. You know, I love these three-way conversations. They're really, I think they're much more kind of charismatic and a lot easier to listen to. And, you know, so great to reconnect to India. Every time I think of that place, my mind kind of shifts completely and it's like a different world. So I'm so glad to do this with you guys. Thanks.
Thank you.
So
Thank
are
you
we,
so
so
much,
are we.
Thomas. Hope to
Thank you
see
so
you in India soon, or
Yeah.
we'll have to come to Vancouver and see you down there and do some creative things together. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
This as a first stepping stone was amazing for us. Thank you.
Truly was. Thank you so much for taking out the time. Like, it was amazing. The questions were so intriguing. It really got us thinking.
It actually, yeah, to go back to your question, what is keeping us awake at night for the last 1 week
Were these questions?
was your narrative and what would be your, because it actually made us pause and think about what is it that we're doing, because we've just been doing, like we said, we've been grinding, we've been working and hustling hard, but I think this gave us a moment to ground ourselves and think about all that's happened and where we are right now. So it's fun to be here now, I would say.
Okay. Well, thanks so much.